Hi guys, Nikhil here. Welcome to Salesforce Group, and this is the part 13 of our Lightning Web Component series. And today's topic is how to get default information or data needed to create a record without Apex call using LWC. So till now we have covered different types of adapter, and we have reached to a uiRecord API, and in which today we're gonna discuss about the getRecordCreateDefault adapter. So let's see what this adapter do. And the adapter getRecordCreateDefaults we use to get the default information or data needed to create a record. So the syntax is pretty much similar to the other adapter. We are importing this adapter from the Lightning UI Record API, and the adapter we're going to use with the wire service, and we need to pass the object API name. And once the data comes, we can resolve or use that data either by a property or by a function. And the usage of this adapter is whenever we need to get the information about any required field from the record, or any length of the field that we want for the validation purpose. Like sometimes we need like max length, the user should not able to enter some length of character. That time we can use, and it returns lot of information based on your need. You can utilize it. So let's go to our VS code and see how we can use this adapter. And so I am on my VS code. Let me zoom a little bit. So we're gonna create a component. Go to your command palette, Control Shift P, and click on Create Lightning Web Component. Enter the name get record create defaults demo. Press enter, take the default path, and once our component created successfully, and now our component is created successfully. First we'll go to our meta file to make sure like our component exposed. When we deploy our component to our org, we can set the targets, and in the target we mainly targeting a record page. So I'll just define the lightning underscore record page. Let's go to our JS file, or I would say to controller. And in controller, as I told, like we are demoing get record create defaults. So first thing we need to import the get record defaults from lightning UI API. And the other thing is we're gonna use the wire service, so import the wire from the LWC. And let's write the wire syntax. So add the rate wire, then the adapter name. Let's copy the adapter name from here, and after that we need to call object API name. And so we want to give the object API name. Let's import the reference for the account object. So I'll give an alias name account object, and we're gonna import that from @Salesforce schema, and we're gonna define our object name. I'm using standard one. You can define the custom object as well. And the reference we're gonna pass here as object API name. And we need to decide whether we're gonna use the property or a function to resolve the data. So I would prefer here uh, function, and so I'll give the function name wired record defaults, and it will give us the data or error, and we're gonna test if data console.log json.stringify our data. I'll just print it. Otherwise, if error, then we just gonna print error, and I don't need to print in the string form as error. So our basic structure is ready right now, and let's create the basic card at least. Later on we're gonna create our table to present our data, but let's create the card. So when we drag the component to the UIs or to the page, at least we able to see something. So I'll give some SLDS class, or I'll pass some margin. So I'm giving some margin. These are the by default classes given by the SLDS. Instead of top margin, I'll give the around margin, and we'll create a lightning card here. Lightning card, and we'll give the title, and the title is get record default demo, and we can give icon name, any icon name that you have. I'll give here a standard user, and here for time being we'll just will not do anything. We'll deploy our component now. So make sure we have our meta file exposing our component, then we are importing our adapter, wiring that adapter, and printing our data that gonna come from the adapter. And in HTML we are just printing a basic card right now. Let's deploy our component to the org. So now our deployment is done. Let's go to our org. So in org, I'm in my app Salesforce group. I have opened the accounts. So you can go to any accounts because we're gonna test this with our account record page. So I'll go to our account record page with the account name Salesforce group that I created in my previous video. Let's go to the gear icon, click the edit page. So we're gonna place our component here. So it will take us to the app builder, and we're gonna search our component name, get record. Still loading. Let's wait to load the custom components. So here is our component, you can see here. So let's drag this component above our main related detail news card. So here you can see our card is ready. Let's save this and go back to the page. So our page is ready. Let's right click, go to inspect, and we're gonna test what response we are getting because we put the json.stringify there. So this is our component name. You can see get record create demo.js, and it's printing so many things. Let's copy this and click JSON formatter. So just to get the clear understanding what kind of JSON we are getting, and I'll paste my JSON here, and it beautify it. So mainly we are getting three properties in that object. Let me zoom it a little bit. One is the layout information. So in layout you'll get all the collapsible accordion, and in each accordion how many fields are there, like account information, one accordion, address information, and additional information. Second object is the object info, and in object info you'll get your object that we are calling account, and within that you have the all fields that are related to that account. And similarly, the third one is the record also gonna send give you the all the fields. So for our demo we're gonna use the object info, because within the object info and fields we're gonna get the all properties of each and every field. So let's go back to our VS Code and write some JavaScript so that our component be visible on the UI as well. So what we gonna do over here is we first pull out all the fields. For that we're gonna use the destructuring given by the ES6 or the latest JavaScript. So we're gonna pull out the field from the data dot object infos dot account. We are pulling all the fields from data dot object infos dot account, and after that once we able to fetch the field, first we create two properties in which we gonna take the table header. So we're gonna print out all the fields on the tabular form. So I'll take the table header as one property and the table body as another property. And in table headers I'll pull out some keys and some fields that are required. So I'll say object dot keys, and object dot keys because our field is an object here, so loop only runs on an array in lightning web component template. So we're going to convert all the fields into an array. So object dot keys pull out all the keys of the field and save it as an array in the tabular header. And after that we're gonna use table body, and in this we gonna loop all the keys, and for all the keys we gonna pull out only the selected fields. So we are getting fields name from this as an item, and each key name or key value we're gonna use in the field, storing the field variable. Again we're gonna use the destructuring of the field. Here what we're gonna do is we'll define all the fields name that we want to get as a response. So we'll pull out the API name, then we will pull out the data type name, or we gonna pull out label, length, or whether that field is required or not. These all are the latest syntax of ES6. So if you are confused, we can write it is in another way, like let API name equal to field dot API name. So this is the shorthand notation for all this. Otherwise, I need to write 5 times like this. So I'll zoom it a little bit more for you guys. So we pulled out the field property. Like suppose there is an industry. Within the industry, we are pulling out all the fields such as API name, data type, label, length, and required. And once these fields are available to us, we're gonna return it. As we know, map returns the new array of objects. So for us, it will be good. We are not breaking the rule of immutability, like we are not mutating the data. So we are returning all the fields that we got from this. Let's print our tabular data as well as tabular header and tabular body, just to see whether we are getting something or we are doing correct. Do this and print out using the console.log. Right click, deploy source to org. So now the component is deployed. Let's go back to our org, refresh the page. So here we have pulled out all the fields heading, and here we have the values that we are pulling out. So if you look at one object here, what we are pulling out is, I'll go back to JSON converter. So we are pulling out API name, data type, label, length, and required. So whether the account number is required, it's not. Length is 40, data type is string, API name is account number, and but here we have find we are pulling out such a big list of header that is not required. Let's go to our VS Code and fix this quickly. So instead of that, for time being, we can go with heading as API name, data type, third one is label, and fourth one is, right now I'm just hard coding it. So I don't want to run any loop and or any other logic, and is right. So now we have two array, one is header, one is the body of our table. So let's go and create the table here. So table syntax is pretty easy. We'll take the table tag. Table has two property, table head and table body. Within table head, we have tr, and within tr we usually define the table head, but we're gonna write our loop over here. So for loop, we're gonna use for each loop, and for each will take the property name for table header, and each item we're gonna call it as header, and for index we don't need to define it anymore, so let's ignore this, and we're gonna loop on our heading that is stored on the table header, and print header, and key is mandatory for all the loops, so we can define as a header only because all are unique. And similarly, we'll copy our loop and go to the T body. We'll paste our loop here. Table header become table body. I'll give each item as body, and but here we need to loop for the row, so I'll just define, I'll create a row tr, and within that I'm gonna print our td table data, th represent table heading, td represent table data, and to the outer element we need to define the key, and we can go with body.api name that will get in the body, and we're gonna define our data. So we have around 5 properties. So 5 times I'll paste my data, and first is the API name, second is the data type, the small data type, third one is label, fourth one is length, one is required, and now our table is almost ready. Let's go and create the CSS file quickly. So I'll create CSS file, make sure the file name is correct as other file, and I already have CSS ready, so I'll just copy and paste it. You will get this all CSS in my GitHub link that I'll add in my video description. Let's deploy our code. So basically what we are trying to achieve using this adapter is to check what all properties are required and what's their length. So in real time, whenever you create your custom UI or you want to do any validation, customized validation, you can use this property. And let's go to our org. Let's refresh the page. So now we don't need any debugger, we know already data is coming. Let's see. I hope we mapped the data correctly in our loop. And now you can see for this record all data we are getting. So we are just from the lot of field, we just picked up only few fields like API name, data type, label, length, and is required. So you can see few fields are mandatory, like created by ID is mandatory, created date is mandatory, and other fields like owner ID is mandatory and their lengths. So using these fields, you can do any validation or you can use anything based on the information that you got, and it's pretty easy without using Apex be able to fetch the record information and this data that is needed that tells us whether what are all the validation we can put while creating a new record. So this is all about for today's video, in which we learn how to get information and data needed to create a record without Apex call using Lightning Web Component. So if you have any doubt or any query, you can ask me in the comment box. You will get all the links or the code that I have used in my video's description. And thanks for your time. Please like or share or subscribe if possible. Thank you.